Welcome, Jayne, my wife. Welcome, everyone. I'm Will Murtha, and I'm the author of Create Your Own Life Story. And I'm here with Jayne, my wife, and business partner. And we've taken 8 years to get to this phase. And we wanted to produce really this is the first in a series of 10. All 20-minute clips to do with the topics that I cover in the Create Your Own Life Story book. And I'm here with Jayne for the next 10 little shows that we're going to be doing, that we're going to explore coaching, and we're going to start off with the why of coaching today. And we're going to be doing confidence and power hour and emotions. And what else are we going to be doing?
And all the things you didn't get taught in school. Basically. So I'm Jayne Murtha, long-suffering wife of Will Murtha. And we are very passionate about what we do. And we hope through these videos and through the book that Bill's written that you'll get a lot out of it and be able to use it in your life.
Brilliant. So, whatever you're watching this medium on, either YouTube or listening to it on podcast, or even for our online coaching academy, welcome. And we really want to, first of all, explore the passion that we've got for coaching and people development, don't we, Jayne?
Yes. I've always been passionate about people, about how we tick, understanding each other, how we connect. And I think that with the book, you get the things that you weren't covered in school. So how to regulate your emotions. Because we all have thoughts, we're taught how to think at school. But, that's education. And we might be good at something, but we might not know how to best present and express it from the truth within ourselves rather than what we're being taught. So I think it's very important, this book, that it really gives you a good plethora of different things that you need to learn to express yourself and really, discover your own gold, your own potential. And we both love what we do and do what we love.
I'll tell you what I love. What I love. Your big words, plethora. What a beautiful word. Well, I'm going to ask you to spell it later because I've got no idea.
Well, okay.
But we've got a lot of great subjects in the book, and the things that we didn't. Jayne really led on a good point there. The things that we never left school with. How to deal with inner critic. That inner self-talk, the people pleaser in us. How to set boundaries, and big one, FOPO, fear of other people's opinions. And me and Jayne have been coaching now for around about 8 years, and we started up the business TLC 8 years ago. And we just, you don't have to be a fool very quickly to realize the same patterns, aren't they, that are showing up in everyone's life.
Yes, yeah. And most people are either people pleasers, perfectionists, and we're all overthinkers. We're always trying to second guess how we fit into this world. We are a jigsaw piece, and sometimes we felt forced into the jigsaw. And we help teach people and guide them how to find and be more comfortable within themselves in how they fit into the world.
Yeah, and I think we've both got a passion, haven't we? And we don't talk about much else at home really, apart from our children. We've got 5 daughters between us, all grown-up women now, doing their own thing out in the world. And apart from them and our creativity, we're talking about issues that we're all struggling with, and particularly this last 2 years, which is, I would say that you'd probably agree as well, love, wouldn't you? That the last 2 years have been extraordinary, and through the pandemic, we've definitely, probably like a lot of coaches and therapists and counsellors out there in the world, we've all become better because what we've learned in the last 2 years about human resilience and pain and suffering and mental health is just beyond anything we were ever prepared for before, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think, we're more likely to have had time for reflection if we've been working from home and actually started to look perhaps in a different way as, is my life working for me? does this, the way, the habits I've got used to, do they still work? Is there evidence that that kind of behavior or that reaction works for me? Does it work in my relationships? Does it work at work? And, through coaching, through reading this book, you'll get lots of ideas on how to adapt and actually start to feed your needs rather than feeding what you believe everybody else wants of you.
And the funny thing is, Jayne's not even read the book yet. She's read the earlier drafts of the book, but you've not actually read the book yet until we're going to leave that until it's published, which is a funny.
Yes, he did email me one, the journaling one, and I read the first time he'd written it, but this time it was just super. I was just so amazed that he hadn't left anything out, and just his writing style as well. I just think it is just so full of golden nuggets.
Golden nuggets and tools, really, which is the whole point of what me and Jayne do with our clients. So, we coach such a wide spectrum of clients, from startup mum working from home in the pandemic to, someone just leaving college to, a TV sort of influencer to a footballer, to MPs to entrepreneurs. We're really blessed because we set out from the very beginning, didn't we? We didn't want to be sort of pigeonholed into one area. A lot of my friends that are in coaching might just do and coach high performers. Others might just coach TV presenters. But we really wanted the whole spectrum, and we feel that we're richer for it, don't we?
I think we are, but we're all humans. We all have our joys and our pains, and that's one thing we have in common. And so when we connect with each other with our vulnerability, that is not a weakness, that's a strength, because actually we're showing up as who we truly are. Yeah. We get on a lot better through just communicating better and, not believing our assumptions and presumptions of what we think other people are thinking.
So the way the book is set out, I really wanted to take, imagine a tool set and a tool belt, and people were going to give you all those major tools that you need in your life. Almost think of a mini sort of Swiss Army knife that's got lots of different bits sort of, coming off of it. That's the way I wanted to set it out, to really give people an idea of, because we're all working through particular issues at any particular time. And there's so many great, so there's just a few on the desk here, so a few of our friends and everything. There's so many great self-help, personal development, growth books out there. But often you want a book to go to when you're particularly struggling with that subject, don't you? So if you're struggling with resilience, there's a topic and a chapter on resilience. There's a chapter on people pleasing. There's a big chapter, as we know, on emotions, which is one of your favorite.
Yeah. And boundaries. Now, this might feel like a strange word to you at the moment, but, we all sense it. We all know when someone is pushing us beyond our limits. We say yes when really we mean no. And when we do that, we're saying yes to somebody else, but we're saying no to ourselves. We're not saying, we're not giving ourselves value. We're giving always our power away by trying to please others or be a perfectionist or just trying to, make up for some shortfall you feel you have in yourself. So a lot of the book is geared towards helping you develop yourself as a person. What is your best potential if you start to put some boundaries down, if you start to value your own time?
I think it's really good. Michael Gervais, who's one of the top coaches in the world at the moment, I follow a lot of his podcasts and books. And, this is a guy that's coached mindset to a lot of NBA and Super Bowl winners in America. I don't think he's worked in Europe particularly a lot, but I follow him a lot. And, he said that, for the last couple of 100 years, most of us have focused on our sort of career our craft. You know, whether we're a solicitor or accountant or a builder, you know, we've focused for hundreds of years on trying to work at your craft. And then the last sort of 30, 40 years, we started to see gyms pop up everywhere. And everyone really started getting into nutrition and fitness and all the rest of it. And Michael was spot on a few years ago. He said the next few decades are all going to be about training the mind. And we could not disagree with that. I think what we've seen through the last couple of years and what people have struggled with, this book is timely in that it's bringing all the things that you cannot get through life now without having that tool for your tool belt, and, you know, knowing how to bounce back from adversity, knowing how FOPO, you know, the fear of other people's opinions, can really bring you down on social media. Look at the example over the last few years, you know, with the infighting that goes on. So, you know, all of these tools are great that you can go and access them when you need them at the time. Yeah.
It's learning to be more flexible. Because, you know, we grow up with these beliefs about being a good girl or being a hardworking boy or a lazy boy, or, you know, so we have these labels. And, you know, maybe there are some truth in it. But, you know, we don't stay children all our lives. But quite often people, because they have been given a label or a nickname, you know, you can look back in your life and see lots of different things that perhaps, you know, people have said to you, a teacher had said to you, that you took to heart and you were really hurt. But actually, they might have just been having an off day. You know, that might be that, you know, we are, you know, we're not fixed, but in our heads, we sometimes think we are. We need to be more flexible and, you know, think our way through problems and around problems, you know, facing that pain and say, well, is there really evidence? Maybe that was true at the time, but, you know, I've had loads of different experience. I'm much more confident now. So, you know, it's throwing off those labels. And, you know, it's so rewarding when you see a client actually realizing that how much they can grow through being, you know, just themselves more. Don't you think, Bill?
I think as well. I think, you know, Jayne's got a few clients. We can obviously mention names, which she knows who I'm talking about, and they have completely changed their lives around. But better than that, they've changed their biology around in that their health. They're going to their doctors, and their doctors saying, "What have you been doing? What have you been taking?" Because you know, particularly the friend we're talking about, and he's a walking miracle because he's going into his specialists, and you know, I mean, do you want to explain a
a client of mine only has one lung that functions and one lung that was only functioning at 2%. And in the year, 18 months that we've been coaching, his health has got better and better, to the extent where he had to have machines to keep him breathing at night, and they have all been switched off and taken away. His medication has been reduced. He doesn't use oxygen anymore. He actually has come off the lung transplant list. And all of this has not been through the medication because it was lifelong. This has been because he has changed his attitude, his behavior, his self-love, and getting in touch with aligning his head and his heart. And he's confident. His business is just going from strength to strength. And he's realized all the potential he always held within him. So that's how much coaching can work.
I mean, I pick up a thread there really from Jayne, and that's behavior change, because, you know, I've got to be careful not to mention this guy's name, by the way, for confidentiality purposes. But, you know,
and your wife will kill you.
Yeah. But, you know, behavior change is really about mindset. Mindset is really about coaching yourself to not believe in your fixed mindset past, because you can change your mind. You know, change your mind, change your life. And we know that, you know, we've got to break free of these old automatic behaviors that and habits that weren't working for us, and we've got to look forward. And I think the best thing to start with is starting to look at what is not working for you anymore, because too many people believe that they've had a bad start to life, or that
they may indeed have had a bad start to life.
And or life's just against them. Life's not working for them, it's working against them. And we've all been there with that attitude. And but it's a bit like the game of snakes and ladders, isn't it, that we talk about. Sometimes you might have 3 or 4 snakes in a row, and before you know it, you're really down on the bottom layer and wondering when that next ladder is going to come along. But if you keep the faith, if you keep hope, and keep believing that your identity is not tied into the past, that you can, eventually, the law of averages said, remember when we was a kid, we were playing snakes and ladders, you eventually start getting a row of ladders together.
Yeah. So, if you think the same things, you're going to have the same thoughts. Those same thoughts are going to lead to the same feelings, and those feelings build, and those, the building up of those feelings drive you to actions, behaviors, habits that don't work for you. So if you can, right from that very simple thing, a thought is just a thought and it can be changed. If you start from there, that will change your feelings. That will then change your actions, habits, behaviors, and your experience. And once you gain in experience, you gain more confidence, more self-belief, more self-love, and you actually feel stronger. And, because you're actually becoming more yourself and not trying to fit in, close down, or defend and protect yourself. You should be out in the world. You should be, the best that you can be. It's not the world that closes you down. It's yourself. So it's about taking your responsibilities.
Yeah, I agree. And when Jayne says take responsibility, take ownership is what I would say. We can't change anything in our lives, can we, until we first notice it. We've got to notice it. We've got to acknowledge it. We've got to sort of really sort of sit with it. And understand it. And once we understand it and start to take ownership of it, I always think that taking ownership is coming over the brow of the hill. It's that point where you do start to change your behavior, because and your habits, because rather than pointing your finger out into the world and why did that person do something to me, why am I the victim, why is life not working for me, once you just realize that sometimes bad things happen to good people, and
Absolutely.
we see that in our clients all the time.
Well, we've seen it in our own lives. We both have a history. We've both had near-death experiences. And as Bill said earlier, bad things happen to good people. Rather than staying the victim and saying, why us, learn from that experience. When life gives you lemons, make lemon juice. And I think, from our experiences of our near-death experiences, that was a big wake-up call. Now, I think we both thought, well, we could have been goners. So, let's not mess about with life. Let's actually make life work for us. And I think, we found a lot of gifts in something that was a bad thing that happened. So there's no such thing as good and bad. It's just experience, and it's what you make of it.
I mean, that's a good point about near-death experiences, because, to a degree, if a near-death experience, what we experience is one of the worst traumatic events of our lives, to a degree, most of the planet has this last 2 years gone through a severe sense of post-traumatic stress disorder. And as we know, it will take time this next few years. I always talk about the earthquake analogy that, most of the buildings don't fall, during the earthquake. They tend to tumble in the many, many aftershocks afterwards. And I think that's what's going to happen to people the next few years. We come out of this tunnel, pandemic's gone, everything's, great. And actually it's the unraveling and sitting with the trauma as it starts to come out of the body and unravels that is going to be the biggest challenge, as we know, the next few years.
Yeah. It's never what happens to us. It's what we make the meaning of what has happened. within ourselves. What do you make of it? The pandemic could mean something to one person, but different to another. I mean, we have actually seen growth in our clients through the pandemic, which you would think, well, that's an anathema. That doesn't make sense. But actually, it does make sense, because it's actually given people time to reflect and realize that, parts of their lives weren't working. Some people have been happier working at home, and actually are less stressed and get more work done. Other people want to get back to the office to connect. So, we're all different. So there's lots of value we can get from whatever experience we have.
Yeah, and I think, just to sort of follow off in the last few minutes here, we're really talking, when you talk about self-coaching, or when we take a client on, we're really talking about a mindset shift, aren't we? Because, when people aren't shifting, when they aren't transforming, it's usually because they've got a fixed mindset, isn't it? Rather than a growth mindset. And I would suggest to anyone, if you do get a chance, Google Carol Dweck's beautiful book, Mindset, because it will very vividly paint the differences between a fixed mindset, which is really along the lines of, either I'm good at something or I'm not. That's a fixed mindset, isn't it? Or, feedback and criticism is, people go on the defense and they go on the attack. But actually, as we know, the growth mindset is very different, isn't it? It
is. Henry Ford said, if you believe you can, you will. And if you believe you can't, you will as well. So you're predetermining what you believe is the case, isn't it?
Yeah. So, a more constructive, just to give you an example, a more constructive version of a growth mindset would be, rather than sort of feedback is criticism, feedback is constructive, because feedback is helping me to find out where I'm going wrong and where I'm showing up wrong in the world, and causing pain and harassment for everyone else. And with a growth mindset, we're really learning, aren't we, to be challenged and learn from those challenges. And I think that's what the next few years are going to be about.
And building the skills from coaching and the book, when you read the book, you're investing in you. You're putting time into you. And that's so important. We're always looking to others, to helping other people. But actually, when do we put ourselves first?
So, thank you guys. Thank you, Jayne. That's the first segment of 10. We're going to be recording several more on resilience and power hour, the importance of journaling, which is massive to the heartbeat of self-development, isn't it? So
and confidence building.
Yeah, all of that good stuff, all the good tools that we need every day now for just keeping your life together and keeping centered. So join us, please, next time. And we're going to be talking about confidence, one of the biggest
issues
in your own personal development. So take care. See you soon. And we'll join you again.
Bye for now.
Bye.